I love how freedom fighters just don't fight when it's their favorite dictator. Oh, let me get it. So now Republicans don't see government overreach? I guess it's only tyranny when it's coming from the left, right? The same people who threw tantrums over pronouns and Dr. Seuss books are quiet as church mice now that Trump is doing all of this carrying on and messing everything up. Trump is literally turning the White House.
Oof, this is a brutal but necessary dose of reality for some voters. The script is directly telling MAGA supporters who blame the current administration for financial woes that the problem might be them. It's not Biden, it's you, essentially. The words insufferable and tiptoeing away paint a vivid picture of social friction, and the implication that this personal behavior directly leads to wage stagnation is a huge claim. It shifts the blame from policy failures to individual character flaws. This is the kind of hard truth that can really rattle people. It's a direct challenge to their established narrative, forcing them to look inward. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about personal accountability and how he interacts with the world. If the shoe fits, he has to wear it, even if it's uncomfortable.
Into Mar-a-Lago too, and it's silence. Where's the outrage? Oh, I get it. You're saving your breath for when a Democrat blinks too many times, huh? See, for real, it's giving so...
Seriously, can we just call it what it is, folks? This whole performance of outrage feels so hollow. When you look at the big picture, it's like, where was the fury when certain policies were being pushed through? Suddenly everyone's a tough guy, but only when it's convenient. This isn't leadership, it's cosplay, plain and simple. She barks loud, but when it comes to real action or accountability, she just doesn't bite. It just proves what I've always suspected, that for some, it's all about having something to fight against, not about making actual progress or staying true to principles. This is tired, it's predictable, and frankly, it's exhausting to watch. We need authenticity, not just a good show.
Collective outrage. It's giving fake tough guy cosplay. It's giving, I bark, but I don't bite. Don't be concerned. Don't be concerned. It just shows me what I always thought. Conservatives are the party of anti. So they just need something to fight. If you are tired of performative comments, let's just talk about calling it what it is. Let's just talk about it in the comments. Because I know, much like me, I know y'all done had enough of all of the performances too. I'm looking for those strong men. Where you at? Where you at?
Donald Trump just arrived to the Alabama versus Georgia football game, and when they put his picture up on the jumbo screen, the crowd went absolutely nuts. Watch this. This stadium holds over 101,000 people, and it's completely sold out. And at times, the crowd was chanting in unison, USA. I think this is completely amazing. But as always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
There's been a lot of conversations about President-elect Donald Trump's promise around imposing tariffs from other countries and what that means for the U.S. economy. And I want to speak just a little bit about what that means in Alabama specifically. So earlier this week, Governor Kay Ivey was in Mobile at the Chambers Forum Alabama breakfast. And she was bragging about how the city of Mobile is doing so well economically because of the port and all of the goods that are brought into the state and into the country through the port of Mobile. Well, there was no mention of Trump's promise about imposing these tariffs.
This is infuriating. The governor is out here bragging about the port's economic success, talking about all the goods coming through Mobile, which is great, but completely glossing over the massive tariff promises that could tank all of that. It's like they're willfully ignoring the potential economic hit to Alabama. For people who understand how vital that port is to the state's economy, this is a red flag. Not acknowledging how tariffs could impact imports and exports is just irresponsible. It's easy for her to forget the coastal side of things if she's not directly connected, but this affects everyone. We need transparency, especially when it comes to policies that have such far-reaching consequences. This lack of foresight or honesty is not what anyone needs right now. We're talking about direct impacts on jobs and businesses here.
And what this could potentially mean for the state of Alabama. There was no acknowledging that whatsoever. And as somebody who was born and raised in central Alabama, I forget sometimes that we have a part of the state that is on the water, and how a lot of imports come through the state, specifically through Mobile. So this will be something that we're going to have to watch long term to see, okay, is President-elect Donald Trump going to actually impose these tariffs? Okay, we already know how we've talked about how this is going to impact the country in different ways, but we need to understand and know that this can directly hit home in Alabama for some of us.
All right, let's talk numbers, because this Alabama income data is a wake-up call. The Census Bureau dropped the 2024 household income stats, and it's time to face reality. Forget what you think middle class looks like. These figures tell a different story. For Gen Z and younger, hitting $86,000 household income puts you in the top 50%. To break into the top 10%, you're looking at over $200,000. That's a steep climb. Millennials aren't much different, with similar benchmarks, and even in the peak earning years, for households 45 to 54, the top 50% is just over $100,000. It's a stark reminder that earning a comfortable living is tough. So, the big question is, how does your household stack up against these numbers? Are you thriving or just surviving? And what exactly are you doing to get by? This data is critical for understanding your own financial standing.
If you think you know what middle class looks like in Alabama, you're probably wrong. Let's break down the 2024 numbers from the U.S. Census Bureau. First and foremost, this isn't individual income. These numbers are based off of household income, meaning everyone in your home who earns money combined. For my Gen Zers and anyone below 25, hitting $86,000 puts you on top of the 50%. But the top 10%, you'd need $208,000. For my millennials, household ages 25 to 34, you hit the top 50% at $87,000 and the top 10% at $182,000. For households ages 35 to 44, top 50% starts around $96,000 and the top 10% is over $216,000. The peak earning years are ages 45 to 54. Top 50% of households make at least $102,000, while the top 10% are at $243,000. After 55, income dips a bit. For folks between the ages of 55 and 64, top 50% is 86,000, while the top 10% are sitting at 217,000. For 65 plus, top 50% is 60,000, and top 10% is 171,000. So, now that you know the numbers, how's your household doing? And what are you doing for a living?
Trump's glorious effect for Republican Party has already started to take shape as Iowa just flipped a seat from red to blue. Iowa just flipped a seat from red to blue. This is a result of Donald Trump and his administration and their horrific ways. Share your thoughts below and follow me for more.
Over the last few months, we've talked a lot about Alabama's current energy affordability crisis. We've heard from thousands of you who are currently suffering under the boot of Alabama Power's corporate greed. That's why we at Energy Alabama are launching our utility affordability platform, a set of 6 common sense policies and actions that can be done right now to immediately lower Alabama Power bills and protect consumers, and by a lot. Together, these policies could save customers almost $5 billion over the next decade. Starting today, we are rolling out solutions that cut unnecessary costs, increase transparency, and put Alabamians first. But we're going to need your help to make sure that Montgomery hears us. Click the link in our bio to sign up.
A lot of Trump supporters write to me and say, quote, I can't make ends meet with Biden as president. They say, this economy sucks. I was doing better under Trump. The economy sucks under Biden. And I write back, well, what about these numbers? Well, I ain't feeling it. People are falling through the cracks. That is the tragedy of America. But if you're a Trump voter, and I mean this, if you're a Trump voter and you blame Biden because you can't make ends meet, it's not Biden, it's you. Take a look in the mirror. Nobody wants to be around you. You're insufferable. If you have a job, your coworkers are distancing themselves. They might not tell you that because they may be afraid of you.
This is fascinating economic analysis, and it really highlights the complexity of policy implementation. We're talking about how tariffs, designed to boost domestic manufacturing, are actually causing job losses because of the ripple effects. The key takeaway here is that increased production costs are the silent killer. When it becomes more expensive to make things in the U.S., businesses suffer. This isn't about good intentions, it's about the unintended consequences. The timing, right after a policy meant to bring jobs back, makes it even more poignant. It's a stark reminder that economic levers don't always pull in the direction we expect. This is a deep dive into why economic strategies can backfire spectacularly. It's about understanding the system, not just imposing a desired outcome.
But they're just going, okay, they're just tiptoeing away. That's why your wages have stagnated.
Just put some real numbers on it. So right now, if a farmer calls me up and says, hey, Jason, I've got 50,000 bushels. I need to sell you. What's the best you can do for me? Well, right now, I'm hovering right above $5. And a lot of these farmers tell me that their cost of production is not too far off from $7 per bushel. We're nearly $2 per bushel below the cost of production when you factor in the cost of machinery, the cost of maintenance, the cost of labor, the cost of inputs like fertilizer, herbicides, pesticides, things like this that the farmer uses every single year to keep their crop in condition. The United States has a high quality bushel. The only way to keep it that way is to use.
This Panama hotel saga is pure chaos, a masterclass in Trump-style business dealings. He builds the place, then allegedly skips out on debts and taxes, classic. Then, to add insult to injury, units are sold to shady characters, turning the hotel into a narco hub. And when a new owner tries to take control, it literally erupts into physical altercations, Trump losing in court and his name being stripped from the building. Chef's kiss, the fact that this messy hotel dispute is now being linked to potential geopolitical moves, like the Panama Canal, is wild. It adds a whole new layer of absurdity to the whole situation. This isn't just about a bad business deal. It's a glimpse into a pattern of behavior. It shows a disregard for rules, a knack for controversy and escalating drama. It makes you question the judgment involved in much larger international dealings. This story is less about hospitality and more about a spectacular implosion.
These modern practices that we use, which require a lot of liquid capital to execute. It's become quite scary because if you think about our neighbors to the north and south, like look at Mexico, they're the number 1 buyer of U.S. corn. Okay, they're the number 3 buyer of U.S. wheat. All right, Canada has an extremely aggressive program where they export durum, mostly through their Thunder Bay program to the east through the St. Lawrence Seaway. And I'm sure they do some on the West Coast as well. But either way, it's a market that's very well developed. There's a lot of expertise. And they also have the biggest canola program in the world, which is a very popular crop out here in eastern Montana, especially this year. Just driving around Roosevelt County, you see a lot more canola out there this year than last year. And, I'll dig deep into the reasons why that is. But the base reason is wheat just isn't paying the bills this year.
Manufacturing jobs in the US are crashing. 67,000 jobs have been lost since April this year. What's really intriguing about this sudden decline is that it happens to line up with Liberation Day. This was a day announcing blanket tariffs over all of the imports.
This is a powerful moment, a candidate directly confronting an administration on worker safety. Kyle Sweetser is running for Senate in Alabama, and he's not holding back. He's calling out the delays in vital safety regulations for coal miners, specifically regarding silica dust. This isn't a minor issue. Silica dust causes debilitating and deadly diseases. The implication is that special interests are being prioritized over the health and lives of American workers. This is the kind of ethical dilemma that voters need to consider. It's about who your representatives are truly working for. The contrast between promises of support and the reality of delayed protections is glaring. This is a call to action for anyone who believes in protecting the working class. It's about integrity, safety, and who gets a seat at the table.
What's coming into America? These tariffs were meant to bring back more manufacturing jobs into America. However, there are a lot of knock-on effects from tariffs that lead to the exact opposite happening. And this is mainly due to higher prices for production. I've just made a YouTube video going into detail about the arguments for and against them and what's heading for America, so that you can learn why.
Oh, so that's the reason Trump wants to take over the Panama Canal. Now it makes sense. Okay. So did you know Trump used to own a hotel in Panama? Well, he built it in 2011, and almost immediately the trouble started. Trump refused to pay his debts, refused to pay taxes to Panama. So then they got a broker to start selling units in the building, who only sold units to drug lords for money laundering purposes. People started calling the hotel Narco-Alago. So now the Trumps are being sued for defaulting on debts, being lousy landlords. And then the real fight begins when a different broker comes in, buys up hundreds of units. So many that he now has a controlling interest in the hotel. And that's when physical fights start breaking out between his people and Trump's people for access to the tower. The case goes to trial. Trump loses. His name is stripped from the building and replaced with a more respectable name, Marriott. And now you can understand why Trump wants to conquer Panama.
Hey, my name's Kyle Sweetser, and I'm running for United States Senate here in Alabama. I followed my dad into the construction business down here in Mobile, so I know the value of hard work and a steady paycheck. I believe that every Alabamian deserves to come home safe after work. That's why I'm completely outraged that Donald Trump threw American workers under the bus once again. He recently put Alabama's 4,500 mine workers in his crosshairs. Under the direction of his MAGA establishment buddies, these folks are now delaying the rules that protect our mine workers from silica dust. If you don't know about silica dust, this stuff is nasty. It causes lung disease, kidney disease, and cancer. And we already have over 400 prior mine workers that are disabled and on black lung benefits from working in these mines. When I get to Washington, D.C.
This is a public health crisis disguised as a political issue. We're witnessing the devastating effects of black lung disease on coal miners, and it's directly linked to policy decisions or lack thereof. The fact that regulations designed to protect miners from deadly silica dust are being delayed is appalling. These are workers who are literally dying in their late 20s and early 30s. And the administration is prioritizing industry profits over their very lives. This isn't just about economic policy. It's a moral failing. The protests and rallies highlight the desperation of these workers. It's a clear signal that the rhetoric of supporting workers is just that, rhetoric. This is about accountability for policies that lead to preventable deaths. The system is failing the very people who fuel it.
See, I'll be working for you. I won't work for special interest. Join my campaign, and let's do what's right for American workers.
What about what happened on January 6th? What do you think what happened there?
I don't really know what happened on January 6th.
January 6th,
The election day?
No, election day was back in November.
I don't even know what.
Do you know about January 6th?
No.
So when I say January 6th, that means just...
Nothing. I don't know.
That's just a date to you?
Yeah.
So why are you here at the Donald Trump rally today? I'm here because our generation, specifically Gen Z, these 20-year-old kids, they don't want to step out. They think this election's so shallow. Oh, I don't want to step out just because I'm not exactly sure. But we have to realize the deeper meaning behind this election. It's not just politics. This is truly evil. This is a spiritual war in our country.
A lot of people have told me that they want to own the libs. They want to come here to prove the libs are ruining the country, and they want to own the libs. Can you tell me what owning the libs means to you?
Prove them wrong, because they're wrong about a lot of things.
I think he's really funny. And I like most of the stuff that he does, to be honest. He trolls on Twitter. Sometimes, I mean, yeah.
What we see is a rise of communism all over the United States, an uprising of deviance that is being taught to children. Yeah. We see that in schools all over the place. Pornography in schools. I've looked at this. I've seen it with my own eyes. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting.
The pornography?
Yes. Not that in books.
Trump is now the most unpopular president of all time, and he's so unpopular that even coal miners are protesting against him. There was a Biden-era rule that went into effect last year. It was meant to limit coal miners' exposure to silica dust. That's released during the mining process, and silica dust causes dangerous and irreversible damage to miners' health, including black lung, silicosis, lung cancer, and lots of other diseases. This is debilitating for coal miners. Now these coal miners are actually protesting against Trump because they are not enforcing a law that was put in by the Biden administration that is meant to keep them safe. Trump is refusing to have those regulations be enforced. Coal miners are literally dying in their late 20s, early 30s as a result of black lung because of this pollution. And black lung has actually been on the rise in the last 20 years, despite having previously been on the decline since the 70s. The rule requires mining companies to lower exposure limits for silica to half that was previously allowed. Coal mines were originally required to comply with this new rule by April. But now the Trump administration and trade lobbying groups have continued to delay it. There have now been a lot of protests and rallies demanding that Trump enforce this rule to keep them safe, right? Which is kind of crazy because Trump promised to support coal workers, but now he's not actually doing that. He's only supporting mine operators, the billionaires running the mines, and not keeping people safe. He's actually only caring about the billionaires that own the mines and the billionaires that own the land, which they will now be mining in. He does not care about the workers who are doing that hard work and literally dying as a result of it.